next. We have Mr. Larry Taylor from the Greater Lebanon Refuse Authority. And I think he has two others if you want to bring Larry in a while.
Larry Taylor, I think I remember that name somewhere.
Yeah, name from the past.
Not James Smith, though, I don't think.
That is about precisely what it's going to become, a name from the past.
Well, whatever island you're joining us from, we welcome you.
Give us a moment here until we get the attendees. So go ahead, Larry.
Skip, the new executive director, and Amy Mazzella DeBosco are also listening in from the office.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm actually down at another remote location.
Okay.
Being non-essential personnel.
Okay, hold on just a moment. Okay, if Amy or Skip are in the audience as attendees, if they could do raised hand. I see an Amy, but I'm not sure if it's the same Amy.
Is it Amy Maureen? Yeah.
There it is. Okay, bring Amy in. There she is.
There she is. Yep.
Is Skip with you, Amy, or is he dialing in differently?
She's on mute, Jamie.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
There you go.
Amy, is Skip with you?
Morning, Amy. Is Skip in attendance with you? Well, let's move
Might not have
on.
her volume up. I don't know.
Evidently can't hear us.
All right. Well, Larry, are you okay to proceed?
Yes.
Yes, we are watching together in the chat box.
All right.
On the humorous side, you put all this effort into proofreading a document, and you turn it over to brief the county commissioners, and you say, "Oh, that skipped by me." But right on the front page where it says 2020, that is actually going to say September 2020 when it's get issued. I found a couple of other little ones that I'll correct that really don't make any difference. Today's goal is to get the commissioners to agree that the county solid waste management plan is complete and ready to go. Get signatures on the submission page on Roman numeral 7. Get your review of the forward letter to the municipalities and your signatures on that letter. And then I will send it to the municipalities with a note that 30 days from that date, I'll forward it on to the state. In the past, we've done a municipal notification process and asked for actual resolutions, as well as held a municipal officials briefing. In light of everything that's going on in this time, and since it is a non-substantial process that does not require that, we've elected to simply go with a notification of the municipalities and then ask for their comments, which we'll include when we send it forward. Generally, I've kept you posted on progress if we've gone along. I've sent you the advisory committee minutes as well as summary. And in your document, the executive summary pretty well covers the meat of the process and the conclusions of the finding. In general, Lebanon County's population has been continuing at a steady rate. Interestingly enough, the residential waste coming into the facility has remained almost constant. But if you look at pages 20 and 21, you'll see that the waste streams have in fact shifted over time. There's been a rise both in commercial and construction waste. There's been a rise in residual waste. New to the document this year, I also added a figure 6 of the total residual waste originating from the county. Of course, since we are not a permitted residual waste facility, we can only accept some types of residual waste. Other residual waste goes other places. The quantity, though, I think is significant because what those 3 waste streams show is growth within the county, one way or another. The GLRA has maintained a fairly constant tip fee, although we did raise it this year, noting that there have been some increases in costs, most notably in capping. Recycling has stayed reasonably constant and even increased a little bit. I think it's worth noting that approximately 86% of Lebanon County's population is served by recycling of some sort. In the overall preparation of the plan, we considered material recycling facilities as originally recommended. We considered trucking waste to out-of-county incinerators as was originally recommended. And we considered recovering old landfill space in bulk, but determined that that was not going to work just because of the proximity of neighbors to the landfill. And we concluded that landfill disposal remained the most cost-effective choice for the next 10-year period. There is, of course, a gap between the requirements of Act 101 for 10 years of assured disposal capacity and the DEP regulations that say, well, you can't submit an application for new disposal capacity unless you have less than 5 years of life left. So we currently have less than 5 years of life. Our permit application is in and being considered. We submitted it as close to that 5-year requirement as possible. I feel reasonably confident that that permit expansion will be approved. I think the bottom line, though, is that the Greater Lebanon Refuse Authority remains committed to the contract with the county to arrange for disposal capacity one way or another. If you look at page 85 in your document, you'll see where there's a great deal of recycling going on in the county that we're thankful does not need to come to the GLRA because we find other homes for it. Our perspective is that recycling, despite the issues with finding markets for them, is continuing well within the county, and that Lebanon County as a whole seems to want to recycle. With that, do you have any questions for me or for us?
Commissioners, any questions? Jamie?
Yeah, I know that you're looking at things on a more of a long range perspective, but what kinds of changes, if any, have you seen during the last 6 months with people's habits changing, a lot more people being at home? Obviously, construction for a while was shut down. So the material flow is probably different. Have you seen a difference or a reduction in the tonnage coming to the facility?
In the last 6 months since the start of the year, yes, there has been a reduction in tonnage. It's, as you look at the history of the previous year, though, between the pipelines and the construction going on in the county, there was a substantial increase in the tonnage. So while we have seen a decrease, there have been changes in flow that we're not sure whether they're indicative of a real trend or whether it's just a temporary or a return to a reasonable trend. If Skip is there, he may be able to add something more to that. I stopped going into the office sometime in March and turned it over to him as the new executive director in January. Skip, are you there?
I know they were having some audio difficulties. Amy had chatted on the side here.
Larry, this is Joellen. Could you verbalize how long this will extend the life of the landfill once this is approved and constructed?
Yes. There's a chart in the document. I'll page through and find it quick. But in general, once we get approval, we're looking at 2043 for the life of the facility. It's on page 54.
I think we only
2040.
have an executive summary here. That's why I was having trouble putting my fingers on it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you had the whole document.
Not in front of me.
But yes, there is an expansion plan that covers the new cells that have been designed. Now, of course, there's always, as you plan for this, you plan for the maximum permitted tonnage on a daily basis. And our hope is we don't get that maximum permitted tonnage. But if we get the maximum permitted tonnage on a daily basis, we're looking at a life that runs up through 2040.
Go ahead.
I think we've got Skip and Amy on audio right now.
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Our tonnage did decrease. We saw a decrease in construction demolition waste, a reduction in residual waste, which is essentially industrial waste, and we saw a reduction in commercial waste starting in mid-March with the shutdowns. We are working right now with our insurance company for a loss of revenue, and it looks to me like our loss of revenue request is going to be for about $250,000 associated with that, the direct drop in tonnage for those three waste types. Surprisingly, or maybe not so surprisingly, we did also see an increase in residential waste. People were staying home and generating more waste at home. I hope that addresses your question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Litz, is your question addressed, I believe?
Yes, thank you. I do appreciate that. I think that's an important number just because people need to know what the longevity of our landfill is. And I think another 20 to 23 years is an admirable accomplishment. So thank you, Larry, for keeping on this.
You're welcome. And I have to thank Bob Phillips especially because he asked a question about a year and a half ago on the status of burning ordinances within the county. And as I looked at things, and I actually added that summary to this report, because what we've generally found is that while there is not a county-wide ordinance, there of course are state regulations, and more municipalities are enacting ordinances. And even those that don't, once we explain to them that you just can't tell people you can burn anything, you have to point out to them that there are state laws. We've seen an impact on open burning within the county. So thank you, Bob.
You're welcome. Anything else to add, Larry or Amy or Skip?
No, not from my perspective.
Okay.
All right. You ready for the motion, Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm pleased to make a motion to approve the municipal waste plan for 2020 to 2030 as presented by Larry Taylor.
I'll second the motion. Did you want to say 2030 or 2043 or?
No, the plan is to 2030.
Okay.
Okay. We have a motion and a second on the floor, and I just want to add, this day we have Bob Carnes notifying us of his retirement. Larry, of course, is in the process, and the institutional knowledge drain is noticed heavily today. And we appreciate the very high level of professional leadership, Larry, that you've given our landfill and the GLRA and GLRA in particular over these years. Thank you very much. And with that, if there's any other comment, I'll accept that. If not, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? So moved. Thank you.
Thank you,